So we're building a community for folks to be able to go ahead and rebuild the right way. But in that community is partners that are willing to be a part of that journey for those individuals so that we can be a part of it when they're moving through their journey of recovery. So if it's, hey, first I need to settle my credit so that I can get a better loan, fantastic. Let's go deal with your car insurance so you can save some money. Let's build up investments so you build up true wealth for yourself. We want to be a part of that journey as you're going through.
Welcome to USA Booming, where business gets personal as we tell the unique stories of the successful American entrepreneur. Here's your hosts, Ryan Culpepper and Sam Pennell. Welcome, everybody out there. Thank you so much for joining us again. I mean, we've got people all over the place listening to this show. I'm excited. You pumped?
I am super pumped. This is going to be great. We're here live on set with an awesome guy we'll introduce you to in just a minute.
Going to keep him secret, but we're here at the Venture 135. We give big shots out to Dan Roselli. Thanks for getting us out here, Dan. And
Yes,
listen, what we're trying to do is bring great guys like this, women, entrepreneurs, thought provokers. I would say we've got a change agent here. Would you say?
I like it. Yes.
All right. So Blesson, we're not going to keep you in the dark anymore. Why don't you say hello and give your proper introduction and all that.
All right. Well, Ryan, Sam, great to be talking to you guys. Blesson Abraham here, CEO and founder of Cambio. And Cambio actually means change in Spanish and Italian. It means to evolve and transform.
So look at that. It sounds like
it's like we knew what we were doing.
I know. There may have been some research done beforehand.
So is that, I mean, yeah, so that's the deal, right? So I'm not fluent in Espanol. Is that what it is? Is it Espanol?
Yeah, it is Espanol.
All right. So I'm not there, but he is.
Yeah.
He's fluent in football.
Yeah. That's about it. And it was like Cambio.
Right.
And he was like, oh, money change.
Yep.
Change money.
Exchange money.
Yeah.
Transform, evolve, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So listen, guys, you know the deal. We're bringing a super awesome entrepreneur here, actually recommended by several people. So we're excited to kind of grab you out of the conference and get you in here. So with that, I mean, look, this probably is something that you've had to do before.
Yeah.
So a lot of our listeners are, kind of maybe even a little bit younger, people thinking about being entrepreneurs. One of the things that you got to have, and we talked a little bit about it, maybe is like an elevator pitch or an elevator. So with that, what is Cambio Money and what do you guys do?
Yeah. So Cambio is a platform that makes rebuilding easy, faster, and more affordable for the average consumer. So there are 1 in 3 Americans have an item in collections today. And if you've ever had an item in collections, that means your credit score stays below 650. And let me tell you a little bit of a secret. When your credit score is below 650, life kind of sucks when it comes to like getting money.
Absolutely. Yeah. So these are people where they didn't just miss 1 or 2 payments. They've got like the creditors coming after them. And okay.
The phone calls.
Right. And in my personal story with the connection back to it is I started another company before this.
I thought so. Had that feel to you, by the way.
And I'm just going to tell you, I made a very logical decision to keep my business afloat. I cashed out my 401k. I maxed out my credit cards. Yep. I went out and overdrew on my checking account, ended up in collections. So I went from being a prime borrower of a 787 credit score down to a 640 credit score in 6 months.
Wow. Welcome to the team.
Welcome to the team, right? Got to take one for the team, right? To go ahead and do this the right way.
So what was the idea that didn't work out?
So, the idea worked out.
Oh, okay.
My company got acquired.
Okay.
So you would think that I have rocket fuel, right? Like I'm good to go. I went into collections. My credit score tanked. I'll be able to rebound quick.
You got it all out. Right.
It took me 4 years to rebuild.
Oh my goodness.
4 years.
Okay.
That's ridiculous, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I made a choice to go into collections. The average American doesn't.
Okay. So you made that decisions because you thought it was going to help expedite the recovery.
Right. It was a hedging of a bet on myself, right? To go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and make a decision to go ahead and put more money into the business to grow it. It eventually worked out. But the fact that it took 4 years to rebuild from is just ridiculous. And so that's where really the premise of Cambio came about, is if it was a struggle for me,
right?
What does the average individual have to go deal with?
Single mother,
or you have a medical debt that comes up that's unexpected, or, I'll go back to this. I'll tell you a little bit about my college days when Papa John's was offering free pizza if you signed up for a Discover card.
Oh yeah.
come on, naturally, why wouldn't you take that deal?
No-brainer.
Right. Why wouldn't you take that deal, right?
That's how I blew up my credit.
Yeah. Does it come with the dipping sauce?
Right. The garlic sauce, right? Yeah, of course, right? So you go and make decisions and you don't realize that if you do go into collections and if you don't deal with it, that item stays on your credit report for 7 years. And so the problem is these consumers are spending $2,400 a year extra on services around credit repair. They're paying extra on interest. We want to change that, right? We want to do 3 things that are very, very easy for consumers to be able to rebuild. We want to help them spend smarter. We want to go ahead and help them clean up the credit in collections. And then we want to be able to go ahead and help these folks build credit the right way so they show payment history. If you do those 3 things, you can recover quickly. You can get back into mainstream banking, which is our goal.
Absolutely. So is there a step, a number 1, a number 2, number 3? Did you list them in order?
You can kind of do them all at one time.
Okay.
It is preferable that you do the first 2 things first, pieces first, which is stabilize your spending. So what we do that's a little bit unique is, I would say banking inherently, they want you to spend more money, right? Like, the whole premise is if you don't spend money, there's no revenue to generate on interchange income. So we actually encourage people not to spend more money. We tell them, hey, decrease your spending. Here's how you go about doing it. Here are opportunities. As a result of it, we actually reward people for doing that.
Okay. How so?
We give them cash. So you pay your bills.
That's a nice reward.
Yeah. Incentivize people, right? It's a carrot at the end of the stick.
Absolutely.
And so we reward people for those behaviors. And then ultimately the second thing that we do with that too is we go ahead and each one of those tasks that we provide them with is trying to build a habit. It's a repeated thing that we do over and over and over and over again, right? And ultimately the cleanup credit part can be done in conjunction with the stabilized spending. So we do that part together. Then when you're ready, we help you provide you a loan, a credit builder loan that not only goes ahead and gets reported to the credit bureaus, but it actually goes as a savings account for yourself. So when you're done paying it off, you get that money back.
You have a little bit ready to go.
Yeah. So that's the real premise of where we're headed and what we're doing. And what I would say too is this, guys. I mean, there's such a myth out there about these consumers. So there was a white paper put out by Vantage Score that said that 50% of these consumers that have a credit score between 501 to 600 increase their credit score in 12 months. So the motivation is there.
Oh yeah.
But it's just not enough for them to be able to recover. Right. So they need the extra tool. There's so many tools out there for us to get into debt. Where are the tools to go ahead and get people out of debt?
No, I mean, I think the unique thing about America is no matter what you spend, you can always overspend. It's amazing, right?
Regardless of income. Yeah, to that point, we're in the land of plenty.
Yep.
We are in the land of impulse buy, constant advertisement, whether it's digital or still in your face in a physical advertisement. Those old habits die hard. How do you walk people through saying, this wasn't working, obviously. Yeah. This is how it's going to work.
Yeah. Sam, I think it's an interesting concept, right? Like you said, behaviors are very hard to go ahead and change. But if I give you an end goal to reach to, which is, hey, you've got a 20% auto loan. What if you change your behavior for 6 months or 3 months? And I can lower that interest rate down to 15%. And I can get you $150 back in your pocket every month. And that doesn't mean that you have to give up the Starbucks every single day. Right. If I can get you to an end goal, if there's a goal that you're trying to aim for, it's the same exact philosophy in weight loss, right? Like if you have an event that you're trying to go towards, like if you're trying to lose weight because you've got a wedding or a major event that you're trying to go to, you're more likely to go ahead and do it. So as a result of it, the event that we put in front of people is, hey, how about we lower your payments by $150? But here are the steps you need to do. And little by little, we're able to chip away at those bad behaviors.
So this sounds incredibly personal.
Yep.
Right. Every person with a bad credit score, right, they got there a different way.
Yep.
I doubt everybody was trying to start their own business.
Right.
That you see, right? So, run me through how that happens. Is there a sales associate? Is it through an app, kind of like a Weight Watchers, where you kind of plug it in yourself, or how does it happen?
Yeah. So the way that we think about ourselves is, I'm surprised if you haven't seen this, but Noom commercials lately.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we really like to think of ourselves as Noom for financial services in the sense that we're really trying to drive those behaviors. So we're a mobile-only app. Consumers can come in, connect an existing account into Cambio, And then from there, that's where we go to work. We stabilize the spending. We go ahead and clean up the credit, and we provide them ways to build credit with those credit builder loans in general.
Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, I know my daughter downloaded it for me.
Oh, for you.
For me.
For you.
Dad, you need this. I was like, what?
Right.
You know, so maybe I need to go do that just to kind of check up and see what we're doing there. So, I mean, is it also for those financially stable that might want to save more, or is it really more applicable for those that have done damage and they really need your help?
We're really trying to target those people that have committed those damages, have those blemishes on there, because our philosophy is this: there's plenty of tools. If you're stable enough that you need to learn how to budget better, there's tools that are available for you. Your regular bank can provide that. Mm-hmm. Where we're focusing our attention around, though, is to specifically say, hey, you know what? Let's bring in the people that are outside of the system. Let's bring them back in. And really, one of the unique pieces that we've been trying to focus our attention on is, it's easy to vilify banks and say they're the problems. We don't do that. We actually want to go work with banks as a part of the solution. So we did a survey at the beginning of 2021. And we went out and surveyed a number of, I would call them smaller banks and community banks and credit unions. And what we discovered was the average $1 billion size community bank or credit union was turning away almost 3,000 people a year.
Wow.
Because not for even loans, Ryan, it's all because they were just turning them away because they didn't meet certain criteria. They did have bad credit. They were preventing those folks from even opening an account just because that's their principle, right? That's how they go about it.
Yeah.
So that's a real opportunity to partner with banks. And then once our consumers get ready, we want to provide them back over to banks to get back into the system, because that's the other piece that I think a lot of people tell us when we do feedback sessions. I just want normalcy. Like, I understand I got to pay a penalty. I understand that I messed up a while ago. They use a slightly different word. But they also know that, hey, I can pay a tax for a while because I messed up. But why do I have to pay it for 7 years, right? What if I start showing movement? How about you give me a trajectory towards something positive? And that's where we want to bring them back to normal.
Well, and that's really hard too. I mean, you get that collections call. I would imagine it does horrible damage. Straight up, I had a 30-day late payment accidentally, right? It's killed the credit score.
Yep.
Like, you dropped that thing way down. Yeah. So never mind. I can't imagine what a collections person goes through. And so with that, right, I kind of look at spending, especially if you are damaging yourself and overspending. It's a lot like an alcoholic, maybe, where it's like, I don't know, some people get excited to shop and they just can't help it. I might be married to one, but I mean,
we can edit that out.
Yeah. All jokes aside, but I mean, seriously, you're trying to correct some serious neurological behavior patterns, those types of things. So with that, what's the biggest challenge that you're seeing out of your clientele? I mean, anything specific that really maybe you can even help a few people here that might be listening, just some things that they can change in their daily habits? Yeah.
I mean, in general, right? Like, the first thing is pay your bills on time and plan for them week by week is the most important thing you can do. Because I think a lot of us, there was an old adage of like, everybody wants to budget and stick to a budget at the beginning of the month. By the end of the month, you don't stick to your budget, right?
No.
So make it short, make it small, make it digestible. The second thing that I would say is, when you set goals for yourself, put it in terms of a range. Don't put it as like, you would never, like, think about it. Like, if you've ever set a weight loss goal, you're like, I'm going to lose 27 pounds. No, nobody does that. Like, they're like, I'm going to lose between 10 and 20 pounds. Right. And that's attainable, because even if you only get to 12 pounds, victory.
That's great.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing, is set those ranges.
Progress is victory.
Progress is victory.
Right. 2 pounds. You're like, okay, I can do this.
Right. Little things lead to big wins.
Okay. So with the metrics you were talking about, without the help of Cambio, you talked about a 7-year horizon. What would somebody expect if they got on the program, actually did the blocking and tackling, and said, okay, I'm buying into what you're saying.
Right.
Well, what does that look like from 7 years to what?
Yeah. So we promote the idea that folks can rebuild in as little as 6 months. Because the whole process of, you think about it today, if you had an item go to collections, what's the first thing you're going to go do?
Turn off my phone.
Well, turn off your phone. But before you do that, though, you're going to probably go to the Google machine, right?
Yeah.
You're going to go check it out and say, like, items in collections, what do I do? Right. And then there's 20,000 different articles you can pick from. There's a YouTuber out there. You may even call your cousin Eddie and say, hey, cousin Eddie, what do I do? Right.
Okay,
and
right.
like,
You
I'm
look
sure
for advice.
Yeah.
Right?
How do I get out of this? Right? So the first part of this is really giving the tools to the consumer and empowering them. So much of the time when we think about collections, it's kind of the dirty thing that's back there. Nobody wants to touch it, but there's tools available. So why we're so confident that we can rebuild these individuals, credit in a 6-month period is you got to deal with the item at hand, like not taking the phone call from the collector, throwing out the item in the mail. That doesn't work.
No.
So we deal with it so that we can verify the item. But then secondly, there is a formula that collection agencies use to go ahead and decide whether Sam's going to go ahead and Sam's going to go ahead and repay an item in debt, or if Ryan's going to repay an item in debt. And we basically have that algorithm too, that basically says, okay, here's what the likelihood is. So now we tell the consumer and say, hey, Sam, we recommend that you offer this to the collection agency because they're likely to take it. So now if you settle that item, it shows on your credit report as settled. And that's going to help you increase your credit score.
Okay. Now, do you guys help them challenge anything, right? So with the 30-day late, it was an accident, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I have no idea how it happened.
Right.
Are you getting free advice right now?
Sort of, and then how do you get out of that? It's an incredibly hard thing to challenge, and it's ridiculous.
Right. So we've got a process where we'll actually put it through where we bring in the individual's credit reports, and we can actually go in and say, hey, this is something that you should actually, we call it dispute or verify with the collection agency. And there are certain regulations that they have to follow. If they can't verify it within 30 days, that item actually falls off your credit report.
Okay.
So that's how you can actually boost those pieces up too in general. And I would also comment one more thing too, Sam. You asked the question of, hey, how do you help folks recover so quickly? There's a point where everybody recovers. Like if you go back to my story, like the story is, I went into collections. I went down to a 570 something credit score, but then my assets started to grow. I started to pay down debt. My company got acquired. Point of recovery happened about 6 months prior to that.
Right.
And if banks would have identified that, they could have made a lot of money on me as I was at that recovery point. So that's the secondary thing that we do is we provide them opportunities to refinance existing loans when we identify that they're
that's
cool.
cool.
Recovery.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. So, I'm going to change gears a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. This is an entrepreneur-based podcast.
Yeah.
I constantly tell my kids, all right, you want to go to college so you get a good grade and then you can start your own company versus work for a job, which may be the way it was a while back. So you go into collections, you have this problem. So were you already trying to solve this problem before it happened to you? Or you talked about an algorithm and these types of things. So how did all this develop? How did it really become Cambio?
Yeah. So I wasn't trying to solve for it when it was happening. At that point it's survival, right? It's survival of the business and survival of self, right?
Right.
So this idea really came about when my company ultimately got acquired. I decided about 6 months in that I was going to go ahead and pursue other opportunities. I stayed on for another year. And I was in an Uber, and the Uber driver had the news on, and they were talking about how in the state of Illinois, the check cashing firms and payday industries were lobbying the state to increase fees. And that was almost like a trigger point for me where I was like, wait, they're trying to increase fees that they want to charge people.
Wow.
And so that kind of triggered the obsession again. It got to the point where I would actually go sit outside of payday lenders and check cashers on Thursdays and Fridays because I wanted to see what kind of demographic it was. Because, there's all these studies out there, right?
Yeah.
So that's what started the obsession of like, how do you solve for this and how is it being solved? So did a ton of research, looked into a lot of neobanks and saw one thing. A lot of neobanks, to their credit, are addressing a lot of needs of people who can't access bank accounts. So Chime, Varo, they're doing a great job there.
Right.
But they're also very much focused in on people with thin credit files. So folks that do not have a credit history that are trying to build up their credit history. So that's when we really started to say, oh, there's an opportunity here. Right. There's a there, right? Like no one's actively going out and saying, hey, how do we go ahead and fix people's credits that have caused issues? And then again, the eye twitch moment came out for me where I was like, oh, wait, I got this memory of, I remember how hard it was. And I remember how hard it was to convince creditors that I was on the rebound. Right. Why not present an opportunity to people?
Huh. And then you were just born with the algorithm, or how did all that develop?
Yeah. So
because that sounded really cool.
Yeah.
Like you're going, that's where the personalization, I think, sounds like it comes from, is through the algo. Right?
Yeah. So within the algorithm, what we did was a ton of research, right? To go out and say, okay, well, how do collectors decide if Sam and Ryan both have the same amount of debt? And let's say, Sam, you just went into collections a year ago. Ryan, you went in 3 years ago. Simple math, right? Who do you think the collector is going to go ahead and say is more likely to repay?
This guy.
That guy.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Sam, because you're newer to it. Right. And there's a variety of different pieces in there. So based on that, based on your spending habits, all of those pieces, what was the last loan payment you actually made? We take that into consideration and we say, hey, your collector is likely to settle with you for $500 versus Sam. Unfortunately, your collector is going to still require you to pay $1,500 of that $2,000 debt. Right. Wow. So we use those individual personal examples to build out the algorithm. And we said, okay, individually, what we were doing was we were literally putting it on Excel spreadsheets. Right. That's how it started. Then it was, how do we automate this thing? Right. So that's how what I would say to every single entrepreneur is, as much as you want to scale as quickly as possible, I'm just telling you, I mean, look at Airbnb, look at their story, go back and read their story, right? Like a lot of this is you just got to figure out fundamentally how you can help the consumer and then figure out scaling later.
So scaling, is that where you're at now?
Yeah.
What is that more of the challenge where you are present day, getting the word out, handling the scale?
Yep. We're at the point of starting to scale. So we, just as a reference point we launched live in June of 2021.
Okay.
For the first 4 months, we acquired about 1,600 members, as we call them. We made a slight change to our business model where we allowed people to connect an existing account into Cambio. And over the last 5 weeks, we've matched the same amount of members that we had in the first 4 months.
Oh, wow.
And we reduced our CAC from $13 to $7. We've increased our conversion of free to paying customers from 12% to 37%. And we're really on a good trajectory towards MRR. So where we're feeling comfortable is, hey, we want to get to 50,000 new members over the next 12 months to really grow this out, continue to bring in banking partners as we move forward.
What a good lesson there, that a small tweak can change the trajectory.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome. So with the new membership, how do you really get this to a critical mass, if you will, to where you've got the funding you need? What are you looking for to get this to where you want it to go?
Yeah, I mean, so we're trying to raise a $2 million round right now, $1.5 million, actually a $2 million round right now. Ultimately, where we've been doing well already today is just pure direct to consumer growth through Google and Facebook ads. Like I said, to give a benchmark on this, most neobanks, and they're slightly different, right? Most of them are. It costs them between $30 to $50 to acquire a customer. We're at that $7 mark, which is phenomenal.
Wow.
But we see another opportunity, which goes back to what I referenced earlier, which is an average small bank or a credit union turns away 3,000 people. So we see that as another opportunity to be able to scale. That's a moat that we can build out, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we've got the relationships. My prior history is I worked at a financial institution. The prior company that I sold into credit unions and banks. So have those relationships to really be able to scale out. So that's an area that we really want to focus in on, Sam, and really build out. The secondary area that we want to really focus on is this idea of building a lending network so that folks can truly rebuild at their point of recovery. So we're really focusing on that area to go ahead and make sure that we can present the opportunities to the individuals that are really recovering.
Wow. So that's pretty heavy. We were actually talking a little bit where I think it's something like 56% of the people out there find that talking about finances is the most uncomfortable thing on the planet. So, how are you ensuring that these people are telling you the truth and, being fully, is there a questionnaire? I mean, obviously you get the credit report, right? But if you're talking about curbing spending and these types of things, there's skeletons in the closet and what have you. So is there just a questionnaire and then you guys kind of go from there?
Yeah, no, so we do have a questionnaire that asks, hey, what's your income? How much do you think you spend? All those things, right? Mm-hmm. But the ultimate reality is I'm a data guy. I'm a data nerd. Data doesn't lie. Right. So if I connect into your bank accounts, I'm going to be able to tell, hey, are you reducing your spending? Did you say you were making X amount and your paycheck is not that?
Okay.
Kind of tell those things, right?
Okay.
Through the math that's kind of coming out. Additionally, with bringing in credit report data, we can tell whether or not you're making payments like you should be. Where's the money going to? The other things that we do too is we actually connect into your bills. So your utility bills, your cell phone bills, and we can look up to 12 months worth of statement data to see, hey,
that's awesome.
Are you actually making payments to those utilities like we're telling you to do, right? So that's a big plus in regards to, again, encouraging the right behaviors. And again, everyone's going to have times where they fall down. It's, can you pick yourself up? Can you go ahead and recover from that and rebuild from that?
So that was somewhere I wanted to go. You get somebody through this program. Let's say they're on their feet. They're back in the traditional channels, and something happens again. Sometimes maybe the perception is that person would be too ashamed or embarrassed to come back. Is there kind of a, hey, how do you tell that person, come on back home?
Yeah. So we never want to actually let them go, right? It's kind of we want the kids to stay in the basement for as long as possible, right? In general.
Yeah.
So what we do is, even if you're graduating through the process, you're still going to be utilizing Cambio when you refinance that loan, right? So you're still staying a part of a community, because that's the one thing that we're building out, Sam, is a community. So we're building a community for folks to be able to go ahead and rebuild the right way. But in that community is partners that are willing to be a part of that journey for those individuals, so that those partners include, they include lenders, they include insurance companies, they include investment partners, so that we can be a part of it when they're moving through their journey of recovery. So if it's, hey, first I need to settle my credit so that I can get a better loan, fantastic. Let's go deal with your car insurance so you can save some money. Let's build up investments so you build up true wealth for yourself. We want to be a part of that journey as you're going through. So even if you fall behind, hopefully we're seeing that and we're catching you before you kind of go.
Yeah, so you become more of like an advisory type person versus a coach, or maybe a little bit of both.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, very cool.
I love the model.
I do too. We see where you are a year down the road, right? 50,000 members, those types of things, right? Hopefully they're converting more towards paying clients. 5 years down the road, where do you see you guys? Do you have the 5-year vision as well?
I think the 5-year vision is, hey, we've got the largest data repository on the people that are trying to rebuild their finances out there. And companies are coming to us to be able to say, hey, I want to access Sam or Ryan or Blesson. And we're able to go ahead and put a gate and say, what are you willing to go ahead and do? So we're able to act in that guardianship role too for them.
Right.
So that they're not being taken advantage of again. So we really feel like building out that community is our 5-year plan towards what we want to get to. Because ultimately, if you look at the banking landscape, people want to be a part of a community, right? So this is the community for people looking to rebuild and recover.
Awesome.
So with the community, if these partners come along, is that information more shared on a blockchain where it's a little bit guarded, or is this just, hey, here's Sam and Ryan's file?
Yeah. No, we are certainly, I think the world is changing towards that. So we're certainly exploring that too, is getting onto blockchain. We're also exploring crypto too, specifically to get into, one of the most interesting stats that we've seen with our members is this. Is a lot of them are investing in fractional crypto.
That's wild.
It's crazy, right? But it makes sense though. Our demographic is 18 to 45-year-olds that we target. The average Cambio member is 32 years old.
Yep.
So they're making investments into this. So we really feel like, hey, if we're gonna enhance our rewards program for doing the right things financially, we want to get into crypto. We want to utilize blockchain so that it isn't determined that, we're just giving you a random file that we may have manipulated or not manipulated, right? So those are areas that we certainly want to build into on the blockchain side so that we can have more legitimacy as we start to partner with institutions.
That's great.
So out of curiosity, do you have a favorite coin or?
I don't, I think everybody, I'm a big believer in Ethereum,
I like that one.
It's been growing, but I'm certainly not an advisor in that world. I'm still kind of learning, which is kind of, surprising to say with that.
But hopefully here pretty soon he'll take payments. We'll take that. We'll take that Bitcoin. We'll take that either. Whatever.
That's right.
Doge, let's go.
Right. Let's go Doge.
There you go. There you go. To the moon.
Yep.
So are you ready for the next little part?
Let's do it.
All right. So ladies and gentlemen, this is one of our favorite parts of the show where really, as you can see with our man, he's got this down. He's had multiple pitches, right? You're ready to go. So here's the deal. If you're a great entrepreneur, you should be pretty good on your feet and those types of things. So I don't know what we've got as our little fishbowl segment. And what we're going to do, Blesson, is we're going to pick some out. talk a little bit about it. We want to find out what makes you tick, those types of things.
Yep.
Maybe your most embarrassing moment at Northern Illinois or wherever. I want to hear about that. Cake stands, something. Come on.
Ooh.
But I don't know.
His mom might listen.
You want to go first? Yeah. Go right ahead. And we really like this. So.
Oh, this is a good one. You're a repeat offender as a serial entrepreneur.
Ooh.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you feel an entrepreneur can make early on?
Yeah. Waiting for perfect to happen. I've made that mistake.
That's a great answer.
Happen way too many times. You wait around until your product is perfect, right?
Excuse me.
And you sit and you go ahead and say, we're not going to launch this until this one thing is ready. And that one thing doesn't matter sometimes, in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
I would say that's one. And then the second thing that I would also advise people to, and Sam, we talked about this a little while ago, is listen to what your customers are telling you when they're repeatedly telling you, hey, I want to connect an account into Cambio.
Mm-hmm.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it. That's your focus, right? So listen to your customers and don't wait.
That's right.
Get out to market.
All right. So just get it out there and then kind of learn on the fly, right? We'll figure it out.
That's the only way to learn.
Yeah. They said Steve Jobs actually kind of hurt the original Mac, right? Because they was trying to get it so perfect, and it could never get there. Right. So,
well, it's like, I'm a sports fan. So Justin Fields, there's quarterback. We finally have a quarterback. Thank God.
But he's coming along.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have hope.
Yeah.
I have hope.
Yeah.
So, the point is, you can take a theory of sitting and waiting, but how do you get better? Play.
Getting out there.
Yeah.
Getting out in the field, playing in traffic. Yep. All right. We're going to change gears a little bit here. So this is one of my favorites because everybody kind of comes from different backgrounds. You go to different places. So if I could just say, hey, look, we've got a magic wand. I can snap my fingers. I want to put you on any place in the planet for you to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Where would that be? What would you be doing?
So where would I be?
Yeah.
It would be Tuscany.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I've never been. Tell us why.
So first trip after the company got acquired, my girlfriend and a group.
And by the way, was that like a holy cow moment? Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was a whirlwind, right? Like you kind of get to the point where you're like, 3 years shy of starting the company, the ups and downs, the flow that you had to kind of deal with. And then it's kind of all changed now. It's not your baby anymore, right? You kind of pass it off.
Are you happy you sold, years away and this other path? Or do you feel like, man, I sold too soon and I should have stayed on that path?
Looking back like that doesn't really do any favors for me. For you. So it's one of those where it was, the decision I made then got me to the decision point. We're not talking if I didn't make that decision.
That's right.
That's a great mindset.
So
right.
Yeah.
So tell us about
Tuscany. Let's get back to Tuscany. My bad.
No, all good.
I'd rather talk about Tuscany. It sounds so nice when I close my eyes.
Yeah. So we took a trip out there as a group of friends, and we rented this beautiful villa that was owned by an American. He had a little coach house that he was staying in. Now, the funny thing was that he promised us there was AC in this house that he rehabbed, beautiful stone, right? There's a pool just for us. The vineyards are right in front of us. There's sunflower plants, flowers everywhere. So it's just this amazing view that you're able to go do. And just the lifestyle that they live of, you're drinking wine, you're eating this fantastic, phenomenal food, and it's just a little bit slower. Now, what I will say about that trip is people drive like maniacs there. Really? Yeah. We rented a 9-seater van because we had enough people in there.
Right.
And there's these little Fiats that are coming, like you're on the edge of a cliff or the mountain, and there's these Fiats coming at you like they're like the bulls,
Ciao.
and like you're like a little car, and you're like, what's happening? And I had to be the driver, so I'm sitting there white knuckling the entire time because I'm on the side of a mountain.
And these are little tiny roads, right? That were old, right?
Yeah.
This isn't like
they fit a horse, not a car.
Right. But that trip was just unbelievable. Where if I could go back, just the way that they live their lives, it's a lot simpler. You're not I live in Chicago, but you're not in the middle of an urban area. It's just beautiful. It's scenic. Food's wonderful. People are nice, and you're within a few hours of being able to go to major areas like Florence and enjoy even other food and items too.
Awesome.
I like how much you talked about food. I think we just became best friends.
Did we become just best friends?
When we come back and visit you in 2 or 3 years, we're going to have some wine from Tuscany. We'll get it all set up. We'll have the mood set and see if we can get it going.
Well, Chicago's a great food town.
It is. It is. It's Tuscany though. It's better. I mean, no offense to Chicago though.
Screw Chicago.
Yeah. Forget Chicago. Forget the deep dish.
Well, do you have any favorites in Chicago? Favorite restaurants?
Yeah. So there's a small little place called Goosefoot that like you have to go look it up. It doesn't get a lot of attention, but it's an entire experience, right? You get like a 7-plate dinner and all that, but the owner there's only like 10 seats in there. So it's really cool because the owners kind of come out and they own a winery, or I mean, they own not a winery. They own a liquor store right next door.
Okay.
And so it's BYOB. So they're like, hey, do you want this pairing? We'll go grab it and bring it out. Right. So it was really, really just American style food that's a 7-course meal. I mean, it was just really enjoyable.
Okay.
So that's actually one of my favorites that you'll probably never hear about.
Shout out to Goosefoot, right?
Shout out to Goosefoot.
All right.
Next time we're in Chicago, Rye.
There we
All
go.
right, next one from the list here. Are you a superstition guy at all?
I kind of am.
Okay. What would you say is the most irrational superstition you have?
So I had a point where, before all of this began, I was in sales, right? And I was leading a sales team. So I had this superstition.
How old were you? Just out of curiosity.
It was way back.
So we're going way back.
No. It was 25 or 26, I think at this point.
So kind of first job out of college type thing.
Yeah. So I was leading a sales team and it felt like every time I wore a certain pants that I had, like every deal that we would want, I would always hear bad news whenever I had those pants on.
Yes.
The bad news pants.
The bad news pants, right? Like it's a little bit different than what's that movie, The Traveling Pants of the Yaya Sisters or whatever. It's a little bit different than that. But like it's irrational where I'm like, every time I wear these damn pants,
it's bad luck.
Bad luck.
I had a bad luck suit.
I did. Yeah.
I did.
So threw those pants away. Until later on in life when I'm like, oh, I don't fit into other clothes. I wear these pants again. And fortunately for me, things started to change around even when I would wear them. But that was kind of the irrational thing that I have. But I will tell you, my infatuation, though, it's kind of stupid, and I've spent a lot of dumb money on this, is socks. I love socks. Like I love different types of socks. Like there's a trip to Vegas where, certain drinks were had, and I ended up looking at my credit card statement the following day, and there's a sock store inside of the Cosmopolitan that I looked at and I'm like, ooh, this isn't good. I may be going back into collections. I may need Cambio.
Yeah. That's right. Funny. You did what on socks?
Yeah.
And I'd say I like socks, right? I mean, I think the ones I have, they're monogrammed.
Yeah.
They're monogrammed.
Yeah,
like
I like
nobody's going to see my monogram.
But it's yours,
but
right?
it's mine,
it's
right?
yours.
Well, Blesson, let's see what you got today.
So
are you sporting some good ones today?
You got some?
I'm supporting.
Ooh,
I
like them.
Yeah, come on.
Those are awesome.
Yeah.
Disco.
Yeah.
I went full color today.
There we go.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right. Well, hold on.
We got to show it. We got to show the monogram now. There it is.
There it is.
Oh, that's special
Looking
right there.
good.
That's next level up. I
we
got
like
to do
them.
that.
We like
I got to do that.
There you go.
I got to do
Where'd you
that.
get those? Those are cool.
Easy. I got my secrets.
He's got his secrets. He's got a guy.
I gave him one of my suit guys. That's it.
Yeah.
I keep the other good ones by myself.
Well, there's another one that is no longer.
No.
Yeah.
God bless her. Oh, is it my turn?
Yeah.
All right. Well, are you good for a couple more?
Yeah,
We'll let you get back to the conference again. Venture 135. It's great. Actually, a lot of thought-provoking conversations as far as seeing where fintech's going and those types of things. Really cool. But anyway, so it sounds like you've had really a couple really good days.
Yeah.
Being an entrepreneur. I don't know if it's when you sold your company. I won't steal the question away, but what would you say was your best day as an entrepreneur? So far?
Yeah. I would say, that's kind of a lot, right? In regards to like what the best day would be. I mean, the feeling of, for me personally, is that when we did know that we were going to sell the company, I mean, it goes back to my history of who I am. So my parents came to America. They were immigrants. My dad ran an orphanage in India. He was a pastor. They worked 2 jobs each. So that moment for me was just surreal, right? It's the highs and lows that you kind of go through. So when the company got acquired and saw the money hit the bank account,
it was like,
the moment of, whoa,
it became very real.
It became more than real, right? It was one of those where it almost feels like that you have that nostalgic moment of just, everything kind of reels back in your head. It's almost like a movie, right? That kind of plays out. So that was pretty cool.
Well, I mean, and again, you don't have to answer this question.
Yeah.
Are you able to give us a range of what you sold for?
My NDA runs out at the
Gotcha. Yep.
through in 2022.
Smart man.
Yeah,
Smart
it runs out in 2022. Well, I mean, I'd be fine sharing it, but I don't want to get sued.
No, and it was nice enough to go to Tuscany with a whole lot of friends and have a lot of fun and then some, and then start your own company again.
Right.
As you should, my man.
Right.
As you should.
Yeah.
We got time for a little bit more?
Yeah.
You good?
I'm good.
Okay, awesome. This is a pretty straightforward one. Who inspires you?
Who inspires me? I'm a big believer. So I'll say this. So from a book perspective, from another business owner perspective, Blake Mycoskie of Tom's Shoes really was the first book that I truly sat down and read. I mean, I read a bunch of other books like, Competing Against Luck, all of those pieces, right? Which are really great books. But the book that really inspired me to say, hey, the next venture that I'm going to start is going to be a socioeconomic thing. That's going to be a for-profit business. He outlines how you can go ahead and start your own company and you don't have to be a nonprofit just to do good. Right. So that really inspired me in regards to, hey, the next venture is going to have this. And it was funny because my girlfriend handed me that book and said, hey, here, read this book. It's signed by Blake. He stopped by Nordstrom the other day. You should read it. But otherwise, I mean, for me, it's pretty simple. It's my folks, they're hustlers.
Yeah.
They work
Well, it
2
sounds
jobs
like
each.
it, right? A couple jobs and a pastor.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be crazy in itself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I'm a good kid, pastors' kids are the best kids. Right. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm a PK.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
we're both good. We don't do anything bad.
Yeah. Actually, I won't go there. We'll leave it alone. But
this is what rated PG-13 this podcast.
Yeah. I mean, it can get R-rated, but we won't do that yet. We'll keep it on the above board. But
I'm not in the club. I'm not a PK. But,
yeah.
It's
a special club.
Yeah. So my bad luck suit again. So there's this thing, PKs kind of get a little bit crazy there sometimes or whatever. My bad luck suit was like, never mind. It was just, I would go out and party in this thing.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, why, whenever I wear this suit, do I go out and party?
Right.
Like it's like a Tuesday night.
Right.
But like, there's no way I'm going out tonight.
Right.
And then like, damn,
the suit is on. You got to go. You look too good in it.
I'm hurting in the office. But anyway.
Yeah.
So that is what it is.
It hurts so good.
Yeah.
It hurts so good.
Hurts so good. All right. So I get the fun ones here. We'll get you one more here, but maybe Sam will give you another one. But right now, right, I mean, you've got selling your company. You're starting this new company. What would you say, helping individuals? I'm sure you do a lot of maybe even volunteer work or those types of things. Is there an achievement out there? You're certainly a successful guy. Yep. Is there an achievement out there that you would say, man, this is my best achievement? Or is there one still to come?
Yeah, I'll say this, and this is actually very humbling for me that I heard this the other day. So we've got a very, very inexperienced staff on our team, meaning they make me feel old every single day. And so when they listen to this, they'll enjoy this. Good. But they're 23, 24-year-olds. And one of the coolest things that I ever heard was, we were doing like a networking thing for RevTech Labs. And they were asking the question of who's your mentor? And they named me. And I said, well, no bonus is attached to you naming me, first off. But really secondly, cool. I think that's cool that, that wasn't obviously rehearsed. It wasn't prompted. It wasn't anything that I prodded them to go do. And that really helps because, it's interesting as I'm recommending books for them to read. They're like, oh, so you're doing this little reverse psychology on us and doing this. I'm like, no, I'm just trying to make sure you guys are better than I am, because anytime I'm smart, I'm the smartest person in the room. We've done something wrong. I always want to be the dumbest guy in the room. And I feel that way. And I feel really, really honored that. So that's been honestly one of my most, it's been such a wonderful thing to hear that influence is happening on that. It's nothing related to money or anything like that.
And you knew it was from the heart.
It was.
And that's really cool. And lucky for you, you're the dumbest one in the room here today.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So this podcast, this is going to be good then. That's what that means. This is going to be good then.
No. I mean, I hope everybody.
I was going to take that joke the other way. Like, well, you got to change rooms.
We're the dumbest one.
I was about to say that. How does it work when 3 of us are all the dumbest ones in the room?
Figure that out. And it came out not the right way.
Right.
Hopefully it translates all right. But
we'll get there.
We're jokers. God bless.
Yeah. Maybe we could cut that.
Go ahead. We'll get you one more. Awesome. I've insulted you enough. I'm sorry about that, Blesson.
Awesome. It's all in love.
I love it.
You got to take the punch in the locker room, right?
I love it.
That's what we're doing right now.
I love it.
So right now, if if we were announcing you and your company and you're coming across the stage and you could tell the MC or the producer to put on any music right now, what's your theme music that would get you out on the stage and just get everybody jacked?
That's easy. Los frequencies, crazy.
I
Do you know that?
I think
Sam's a music guy. Sam's a music guy.
We'll listen to it afterwards, but that's my jam. It's like my life story.
Awesome.
Where it's like, it's basically it's a dance song, right? It's a EDM song. And so it's just, I don't know, man, the words, the words are just like, yep, this person is crazy enough where, starting a company, doing all these things. And it's my song. And it's funny, right? Like anytime we forget the MCs, anytime we have a party at my house,
it's on.
That song gets on, and I make sure it gets looped in like 5 times. So all my friends are like, "Why does this keep on playing?" I'm like, "I don't know.
That's my jam.
Yeah, that's my jam." I mean,
well, I made the playlist.
Right. I blame that on my girlfriend. I'm like, she made the playlist. She must really like this song.
So we talked earlier that we have like walkout music or whatever. We might switch it up just for your episode.
I like that.
Oh, that would be cool.
I like
that,
cool. Right?
Yeah. I don't know if we have the licensing for that, but that's
a secondary thing. Don't
let them worry about it.
Let
licensing, schmicing.
Yeah. That's overrated.
Remember when you could burn CDs?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. He's old enough.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a guy that I went to college with. No matter what CD he burned, he would always put like the same 2 songs on, and they were track 1 and 2. Right. So you always had to skip to track 3 just to get a new song. It's like, John, jeez.
So I got the new Dre CD for you. You got to listen to these 2 songs first. Yeah.
Next.
Right.
Yeah. That's great.
Well, awesome. I tell you what, I mean, you've shared enough time with us. Again, I should have left the sarcasm to Sam. He's much better at it than I am. I try to keep up with him so much, but I'm definitely the dumbest person next to you two. So we'll go ahead and
I'll battle you for that.
Arm wrestle. Very good. Very good. I tell you what, I mean, we're about to wrap this up. I don't know if you want to just tell people where they can find you, where the app, just maybe a little closing remark by you as far as how people can search you out and get some help.
Yep. So first off, you can go and search me on LinkedIn at Blesson Abraham, Blesson Abraham. Very unique name. You'll probably find only 2 of us on there.
Yeah.
The second thing is you can always visit our website at www.CambioMoney.com. And then if you want to ever download the app, check it out on the Play Store and the App Store. It's Cambio Money.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You guys check them out. If those of you need some help, this seems like a really cool tool. They told us to talk to this man. So if you're not talking to him, something's going wrong. So with that said, we really appreciate the time.
Thank you, Blesson.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ryan. Really appreciate it.
All right.
It's been a pleasure.
Take care.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to USA Booming. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend or leave us a rating and a review on your podcast platform of choice. Don't forget to check out the archives for other great conversations. Got questions? Email us at Sam or Ryan at usabooming.com or DM us on Instagram at USA_booming. That's it for now. We'll be back soon with another great talk with an entrepreneur you won't want to miss.